And good afternoon, everybody. It is Walter, and hi, I'm the Dutch mentor. Welcome to our weekly series, the COO Roundtable, or working and having discussions with emerging leaders around the country on topics that are relevant to continue to develop your skills, knowledge, abilities, and your capabilities to become highly effective leaders. But I also would challenge all of those who are currently in the role to participate and to take a good hard look and listen to the topics we bring to bear on a weekly basis, for the simple fact that we sometimes get so entrenched in the day-to-day work that we forget to check back and see did we check all the boxes? Did we challenge our thinking? Are we truly functioning from a growth mindset? Are we doing the right things right? And as you know by now, I'm a true believer in continuous development of people, because that's where it really all starts. And we should never get lazy, and we should never get complacent, because that will bring down organizations quicker than anything else. So the topic I talked about last week about operational rhythm, which is really the key to success for any organization, is developing an organizational structure and process that is based, of course, on people, but also on certain things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, right? Operational rhythm is all about having the right people in the right roles, their capabilities and capacity, to making sure that you align and realign, that you both make sure that you have the right people today, but also you have the right people for the next year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, right? So succession planning and proper talent management. It's about making sure that we are truly unified in our vision. What is it that we are aiming for? What are our goals for 2025 over any performance year? And how do we measure that? What are the driving metrics? What are the outcome metrics? And then the key, how do we evaluate how well we are doing through the cadence of accountability on a daily basis and a weekly basis? And then do we take actions, not only celebrate our successes, but also take countermeasures for the times that we fail or we fail to perform? And that leads me to today's topic. The title is Unlocking the Secrets of a Team, Performance Team. The key question here is that really have to look inwardly, right? Look at a really hard look in the mirror. Is that why are we so satisfied with the performance of our teams? I recently posted a poll question on that topic. And again, it's consistently 75% of the respondents think that their teams are high performing. But studies have shown consistently that it is just the other way around, that 75% of our teams are actually dysfunctional and are not delivering to what the expectation is. But why do we keep saying that they do? And that's really the real question that we need to ask ourselves. Do we lower the standards of the performance to meet our own egos and our own needs because we can say we are performing if they are performing? Is it because it's just easier to say that they're performing? Because if you say they're not performing, we have to do something about it. And it's a combination of multiple factors that lead us to be too satisfied with the team performance. Again, most people on the team know that they are not performing well and that they're barely meeting the needs of the organization. But we don't do anything about it. So we just, keep being mediocre. And if you think about Elon Musk, right, he's truly the Einstein of our ages. Do you think that he accepts mediocre behavior of his teams? Do you think that that starship goes into outer space just because we have a mediocre team? Right? The team excellence expectation in every single process that is executed is expected to exceed expectations. And it's not about how many people I can fire. It's about how can I incentivize? How can I inspire? How can I motivate each team member to be a piece of that puzzle? How can I place them in the right roles in order to be optimize my teams and get that expectation of performance over 75, 80, 90% of the team members? So we really have to take a good hard look. And I love doing that in December and again in June as a quick check-in. Of course, this is something we do on a continuous basis. But we want to have deep dives and check-ins on talent management in November and May of each year, and then looking at strategy and execution and performance in December and in June. So right now is the right time, and I think it's December 11th. We should be getting ready for a performance year in 2025. Well, that starts with looking at our performance for 2024. How well did we do against expectations? We know 70% of the things we said we're going to do, we fell short on. That's a fact. That research shows that consistently. But if you look at performance evaluations, you will see that nearly 70% of those have been scored meeting or high, above meeting or exceeding expectations. The two don't correspond with each other. So we lower the expectations of our team members to meet our own needs of performance, which really leads to outcomes for the organization that are less than favorable. So what is the problem? The problem is that we need to really understand what is performance. How do we evaluate performance? Why do we overestimate the performance of our team members? Right, I just had a conversation with a team before I came on, and I love working with small teams to drive performance. Right? Working with people, and then working on process, and then bringing performance elements into it. And once we connect the dots, it really makes a lot of sense. If you have an honest moment with yourself, you will see that too often we go back to those who are high performing, and we refer to them when we talk about team performance. Well, the secret is, if you look at it, even at your own performance evaluations, placing all of your team members and your teams on the bell curve, it's only the top 25% who are delivering for you. Everybody else is either meeting or not quite meeting expectations. And that's where you as an executive leader have to start making the difference. We cannot just accept that only 25% of our teams perform or exceed performance. Now listen, data matters, right? Especially with AI today, we will get more and more, and these confirmations are coming. More is a large organization that collects data for patient satisfaction and staff satisfaction. This is not something that just pulled out of nowhere. Right? This is something that is based on real data with millions of data points. All right, so we have to make sure that we really understand the potential misalignment between our perceptions and reality. And that requires an exceptional self-awareness, right? Putting ego and pride aside. It's by taking a real somber look at how well did we perform against expectations. And of course, the second question is, did we set expectations to the level that is good for the company that I'm working for, that I'm leading? Right? If we set expectation at 5%, but it really should have been at 10%, of course you can celebrate at 5%, but did that really meet the need of the organization? Maybe not. So again, we have to really understand the problem, and we need to come to acceptance that by nature, right, we are underestimating the performance of our teams. And there's a cognitive biases that clouds our judgment. Again, self-awareness comes into play over here. Right? You have to be really honest with yourself. And it's usually that little inner voice inside our brain will tell you, right? Don't make excuses on why performance didn't take place. Be very, very honest with yourself. Because if you start there, 2025 can be a differentiating year for you too. So we have a thing called a confirmation bias. Seeking information that confirms our beliefs. Well, if I only listen to my high performance and I get their data, I'll start believing that the entire team functions to that level. We had a really interesting conversation the other day. Actually, a lecturer who came to our ACHC New Jersey annual event, talking about AI, about collection of data, interpretation of data, and how we're going to be working with data into the future itself. Well, the numbers don't lie to us, right? So we just need to learn how to interpret them and to honestly interact with them. All of the data, not just what we want to see. We need to see all of it and understand it. There's a halo effect where there's an overemphasis on certain traits leading to misjudgment. Right, we can have one metric that we are performing exceptionally well in, but is that the metric that matters most? Right? Thinking about, in healthcare, hand washing. How many more times do we need to come back and report out the quality that we have a 80, 90% hand washing rate? Well, national average is 65%. Your organization is likely not any different. Why do we allow that to happen? Right? Is this a technical skill? People don't know how to wash their hands? Or is this a behavioral? Again, it is rooted in behavior. Right? All these things follow through most of the things that we do. And then the overconfidence bias, right? Leaders believe in the judgment despite the evidence. We are clouded by wanting to perform and wanting to see the good. Again, we need to take a somber look at the total performance elements, not just those who are performing for you on a day-to-day basis. And again, 75% of your teams are not as functional as you think they are. Don't lower expectations, right? Instead, meet the team where they are and rebuild them, making sure that we have the right people in the right roles, make sure that they have a clear vision, making sure that they have the right metrics, make sure there's that cadence of accountability, and making sure that they take action. And not just firefighting, right? Fixing things at root causes, running pilots, being pragmatic about the changes that need to be taking place, and measure for sustainability for the long term. Behavior change is exceptionally different. So what do we need to do to bridge the gap? Right? What are the keys to improvement of our teams? And think about that. This is a perfect time of the year in December to assess your team's performance for 2024 and set those key performance metrics for 2025. And it starts by effective feedback systems, having a really open, honest conversation about this past year, and listening to all factors, from above, from your peers, from those people who work for you. I do a retrospective review, celebrate your successes, but really highlight those things that didn't quite go right and understand the why. Right? And it needs to come from all of your team members. And again, a word of caution over here, don't listen to those who speak up. Listen to those who are silent. Seek feedback from your introverts. They often know best. Right? Seek feedback from those who have neurodiversity. Right? And then reassess your leadership style. Right? Are you that leader that leads with confident humility, that situational awareness? Are you, delegating appropriately? Or are you micromanaging? Or you're demanding? Or you're directive? Right? All these things matter. Right? Again, self-awareness is the key to your success. Having clear and open communication channels. Right? At the end goal, we want to develop a plan for 2025. But the plan is only as good as it is communicated out and it can be measured. So working with your team on how you can communicate the why, the context behind what it is that we need to do and how we're going to be measured, and how we can assess performance on a daily and a weekly and a monthly basis. How can we change habits and behaviors that gives us the outcomes that we seek? And then, of course, understanding the team dynamics. Identifying those teams that are not functioning well. And again, 75% of our teams are dysfunctional on some level. Sometimes we have to mix it up. Sometimes we need to make reassignments. Sometimes we need to identify those people who belong in box 8 and 9, questionable fits for the organization or underperforming. Sometimes it's as simple as reassigning them to a different team or a different objective that gets them to be incentivized or to inspire to work at a higher level. But these things cannot happen by chance. These all need to be done by design. These need to be intentional steps. Again, the month of December, setting your team up for success is the key. Just think about it this way. How many organizations today do their performance evaluations in March? March, that's month 1, 2, and 3. So by the time you do your performance evaluations and you set new goals for the next year, you're already 3 months into the performance year. But that's not even fair to the employees. And honestly, these performance evaluations, after they are completed, they go back on the shelf, they collect dust for the next 12 months, and then we look at them again. I would cancel them all. I would do away with them. I would instead adopt individual development plans. Let it be owned by the employee. And those who are driven to box 1, 2s, and 3s, right, well, can use that as an incentive package in order to be able to drive performance. And they can own these and have more frequent conversations with coaches and mentors and measure. Those are really the elements that help you perform at a much higher level that is focused by getting people to be fully committed and self-directed. So what do you need to do to drive your team towards excellence? Again, I would invite you to say for the next week or two, bring your team in, spoil them a little bit, get them breakfast and lunch, reflect on the team's performance for this past year. I clearly identify what went well, what didn't go well. And then bring in your executive leaders to paint a very clear picture of the North Star, what is expected of the team in 2025. And in the afternoon of phase 2 of the session, you sit back to your team and you start talking about what is it that is most important, that 1, 2, or 3 things that we can do to drive performance for 2025. And attach meaningful metrics to that, driving and outcome metrics to that. Right. Join the conversation on my LinkedIn account that I just posted a question on how you too can drive performance and what are your hesitations. But coming out of that, you can clearly communicate to the team at large what the expectation is, what each person's role in that expectation is, how we're going to be measuring the driving and outcome metrics on a daily basis and weekly basis, how we can be accountable to self and to each other and to the team, how we can support and cheerlead each other, how we can take appropriate actions and countermeasures that we fall short. Don't be too satisfied. Right? We have to change our thinking in order to change our performance. And if you want an example, go to Tesla, go to SpaceX, go to Motorola, go to a few other companies that have been prime examples, Bosch and Motorola, Toyota, where they have had excellence in leadership, where performance excellence, operational excellence is part of their DNA. And that is not by being satisfied with mediocre, that's being satisfied through stretch goals and holding yourself accountable. So I want you to ask yourself the question, and I want you to ask that of your team. What are the today's challenges that we have faced that holds us from becoming a high-performance team? Right? How effective are our communications and goal setting and message? Right? And are we experiencing any biases on our teams? It's only by asking these questions and by having meaningful conversation that leads to clearly understood North metrics, a vision that is unified, that is attached to metrics, that holds you accountable, that requires action, that you can lead your team to the next level of performance. And that's what I call leading for cause. Right? Too many leaders and emerging leaders are concerned about getting into the next role, right? From manager to senior manager, director, senior director, AVP, VP, chief operating officer. Right? If you lead with cause, performance will follow along and you will become that standout. Right? Be honest with yourself. If you would like to come join me in conversation, go to my website at thedutchmentor.com, book a free strategy call, and I'll be happy to discuss your biases or maybe a plan of action for your organization. So one thing I focused on over the last year, and I will just go into it real quickly, is that I've done a lot of one-to-one work, both volunteer and as a mentor, which I greatly enjoy and look forward to doing that more because it's about paying it forward and giving back to people. If you're listening to this and if you are a person who got laid off for unknown circumstances, unfortunate circumstances, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you get back on your feet and help you find that role. If you're an emerging leader looking to make a difference, make a commitment to yourself. Don't wait for your organization to make that investment in you. Make that investment in yourself. Go to my website and look under membership. We have great offers that are very affordable. You really should not miss out on. If you are a team leader, and senior director, AVP, COO, take a good hard look. Moorhead is not lying when they have identified that 75% of the teams are underperforming. Give them the extra little boost, but you don't have the time to do that yourself. Come to a person like myself who comes from deep experience, who can be that coach and mentor to your team. I work with all of my teams on a weekly basis, and they have access to me throughout the week as necessary. We work on people's habits and behaviors, on people development, on process, on understanding the root causes and putting solutions into place. But on the end of the day, it's about driving metrics, driving performance metrics. Right? On the end of the day, the boss wants to see performance. It is our role to connect them to the things that matter. Right? The patient in the emergency department that's waiting to get a bed upstairs, that's getting bed sores because they've been laying there for 6 hours. Right? Throughput, bed turnover, optimizing productivity, overtime reduction, making sure that we provide access. I mean, there's a myriad of issues that we can look at. And for the most part, we're not performing at the level we can. With the exception, of course, again, that 25% of your teams are high performers, getting the job done, are consistently good. The thing is that 25% is not getting you over the hill. Right? You need to convert that. 75% of your teams need to be high performing, and the other 25% need to be in a continuous state of development. Again, come visit me at thedutchmentor.com, book a free consultation. Let's have a conversation. But let's take this moment in time before we start our new year to get off on the right foot, to have meaningful conversations, to set clear objectives. And again, operational rhythm is the key to your success. It needs to become part of the DNA of your organization. Right people in right roles, unified vision, meaningful metrics, cadence of accountability, and taking action. Let's continue to learn. Come join me again next Wednesday, new topic, and continue your development. Have a wonderful day. Again, you can post questions to this at any time. I'll answer them in a timely manner, or you can reach out to me at thedutchmentor@gmail.com or book a consultation call at thedutchmentor.com. Take care. Have a wonderful day and happy learning.